guys! So today's class is called Happy Hips. We're going to be working on opening up and creating space not only in the outer hips but in the hip flexors, the groin and a little bit of the hamstrings as well. So it's going to be perfect for anyone who's feeling particularly tight in these areas or for anyone who's just wanting to improve their overall flexibility. Now for this class you're going to need something to sit on, probably, if you are tight in these areas. So something firm like a flat block or a rolled up blanket would be better than something soft like a cushion. And then also, for some of you, you might want to have some brick blocks. If you haven't got brick blocks, then some books around about this size would do. But if this is something that you're wanting to work on, that you feel that you need to work on, then it might be worth investing in some brick blocks just going forwards. Okay, so we're going to start today lying on our back. So if you just want to make your way around to the floor. And just rolling down through the spine. Let's start with bent knees, allowing the shoulders just to soften down the back. Resting the backs of the hands to the floor. And then closing off the eyes, just starting to bring the awareness inwards here. I want you to first of all notice how you're feeling in the lower back, how you're feeling in the hips, how you're feeling in the buttocks. If there's any obvious tension you're holding here, just see if you can start to soften that area already. As you begin to breathe a little bit deeper, I want you to think about sending your breath to the areas that need it the most. So as we're working on the hips today, as we're working on opening up the hip flexors, then I really want you to think about breathing right the way down to your lower belly, to that space where your lower belly meets the hips. So if we just bring our hands onto the lower belly now, walk the feet gently together and let the knees open out to butterfly. You should be able to feel that area that I'm talking about. So right at the lower belly and the pelvis, right where you can feel connecting to the hips as the hip flexors. And what I want you to do is think about really opening up that area with the breath. So as you breathe in, try to breathe into where your hands lie. See if you can feel that area expanding. And then as you breathe out, see if you can feel that area softening. And then at the same time, let's think about the outer hips as well. So releasing the knees, the buttocks. See if you can allow the legs just to drop open a little bit more. So it's very natural for most of us to have some gripping going on here in the outer hips. Let's just see if we can soften into this position a little bit more. Good, and then just releasing the arms to the sides of the body, bringing the soles of the feet down onto the mat again. Let's walk the feet out to the edges of the mat this time, so we're going wide, feeling the edges with the toes, opening the arms up. Let's bring both knees down to the left, and then just looking up, walk your right foot to the right so that the knee is in line with the right hip. And then at this point, allow both legs to be heavy. So we should be getting a gentle stretch down the front side of the right thigh, up into the hip flexor again. If you need a bit more, if you'd like a bit more, you can always place your left ankle on top of the right leg just to bring that knee further to the floor. Good, and then if you cross the leg over, just bringing it back first. Both knees come up to centre, finding the edges of the mat again. Bring both knees down to the right side. Looking up, walk your left foot to the left, knee in line with hip, allowing the leg to relax down. Option of bringing right foot on top of the left leg here now. Again, just softening into the upper body. Couple of big breaths, still breathing right the way down to your lower belly, to your hip if you can. Good, and then releasing the right leg first, bringing both knees back up to center. Let's walk the feet in so they're hip width apart now. And then gently pressing down into the feet, lift the hips up. So just a really soft bridge pose. I don't want you to worry about squeezing the buttocks here. We're not building strength. Let's just think about keeping the buttocks soft and starting to circle into the hips. So making a complete circle here in both directions, finding a bit of space in the pelvis, in the lower back. Good, just do that in both directions a couple of times. And then from here, rolling down through the spine. Good, bring both knees into the chest and gently place the hands on the knees. So starting to draw the knees out towards the shoulders. If you can, hook the elbows around the knees. Just bringing the legs a little bit closer to the chest. We'll take a soft wriggle side to side. Good, and then sliding the hands onto the knees. Let's draw big circles with the knees, opening out and in together. And I want you to try and stay as soft, as relaxed in your hips as you can here. Just moving in a way that feels good for you and moving in both directions. Good, and then from here we're going to reach through the middle of the legs and just take hold of the shins or the ankles first. So before lifting up to full happy baby, I want you to just let the legs fall out to the side. So really let them hang. And this might mean that you actually have to have the hands on the knees, and that's fine. So from this position, the legs are really heavy, the hips are open. You should feel a complete connection with the base of your spine, with the top of the buttocks and the floor. And we're just going to take a little wriggle here, side to side, just massaging out the lower back. Now, if this is quite intense on your groin area, then I want you to just stay as you are. If you would like to go a bit further, if you feel that you need to go a bit further, then we're going to walk the hands up onto the outsides of the feet and lift the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Now make sure at this point that we're not curling the bottom away from the floor. The lower back presses down, the heels pull out and the knees come down towards the armpits. So we're really, again, opening up the hips, opening up the groin, but keeping the bottom in contact with the floor. Just taking a little sway side to side. Good, and then softening the feet all the way back down onto the mat. Placing the soles of the feet down. Good. From here, we're going to reach for either our flat block or your blanket, something that's kind of rolled up in this shape, sliding it underneath your sacrum. So we want to find that flat part of the pelvis to rest on. It should be comfortable here. Good. And then opening the arms up. Again, let's just sway the knees. And I want you to really let the legs be heavy here in both directions. So you're starting to feel just a gentle stretch, moving into the outer hip, maybe into the lower back as well. Good. And then bringing just the right knee into the chest. I want you to stretch your left leg out along the floor. Start to press the left knee down into the mat, so we're getting a deeper hip flexor stretch here. And then draw the right knee up towards the right shoulder. Now, if you don't feel a lot going on, it may be that you need to raise your pelvis a bit more. Maybe you need something firmer underneath you. And you could, if you do have a brick block, you could also use a brick block at this point as well if you're quite open in the hips already. Okay, so just holding for another big breath, again breathing right the way down to your lower belly, to your hip. Good, and then gently switching left leg in, right leg out. Start to press the right knee down into the mat, thigh presses down, left knee to left shoulder. Good, and then just slowly bringing both knees back in together. Take a moment here, and then placing the soles of the feet down onto the floor. Let's slide the block out from underneath. Good. And then just tucking the hands underneath you, palms face down, gently bring yourself all the way up to sitting. Okay, so from here, again, let's find the flat block or the blanket, there's something firm that you were sitting on, and bring yourself back up onto that now. I'm going to do this facing you, but you can stay where you are on the mat. Okay, so we're coming into butterfly stretch, soles of the feet together. Now, if you're really tight, then you might want to start using your brick blocks here. You can place them underneath your knees, underneath your thighs if you need a bit more support. If not, then we're just going to allow the legs to open up. And then just taking a little wriggle, make sure there's not too much tension here. You can choose how close you have your heels to your body as well. Okay, so before we start to lean forwards, let's grow tall. Really lift and lengthen through the spine. Option of hands on the ankles, hands on the floor, maybe arms to the knees, whatever helps you ease into this stretch. I want you to begin to lean forwards. Now, if this is a really difficult stretch for you, then we might be in a position that looks a bit more like this. And if this is the case, then all I want you to do is focus on lengthening the spine. At the same time, softening the knees as much as you can, okay? If this is really easy for you, then maybe we've come down onto the forearms, maybe we've got head to the floor. But wherever you are, let's take another big breath here, trying to allow the hips, the outer hips, the groin to relax. Good. And then walking back in again. From here, we're going to take the feet slightly further forwards. So coming into more of a diamond shape here with your legs. And again, you can choose how far forwards you take this. We're going to work more now into the outer hip area. So sitting up tall, exactly the same thing. We're leaning forwards with length in the belly, length in the spine, just allowing the hands to run down the legs. Good. Aiming to get the head towards the feet, towards the ankles. Again, if you're feeling a lot of tension in the outer knees or thighs here, we can always use our brick blocks as a bit of support. Okay, so just taking 2 more big breaths here. And then starting to make your way back in again. Let's turn the knees in and just walking them in towards you. Give the legs a little bit of a hug. So quick squeeze, wrap the arms around. Good. Okay, from here we're going to come into another stretch for the outer hips. So we've got one leg out in front. Option 1, easier option, is crossing the leg over, placing the sole of the foot to the floor, holding here. Second option is to come into the full variation of this, where we have both legs tucked under. The third variation, the more advanced variation, is to bring the outside of the foot all the way down to the floor. So in this variation, we take the feet a little bit wider, and this will be a stronger stretch for both outer hips. Okay, so finding one of those that works for you here now. And then when you're in that position, I want you to first of all, again, just think about lengthening up through the spine. And then if you can, begin to lean forwards a little bit. See how that feels for the outer hips. If they're really screaming at you, then I want you to back out of it. We're not trying to create any more tension here. We want to make sure that we're really softening into it, we're breathing into it. And if you're feeling pretty good, you can of course walk even further forwards. Maybe hands come down, maybe the head comes towards the floor. Good, and then rising back up again, keeping the legs exactly as they are. Let's lean across into the left hand, root the right hip down and take a big side stretch here. So not only opening up the outer hip, but also into the side ribs. Good, coming back to center, placing the right hand down, big side stretch the other way. Again, rooting the left hip to the floor. And then again, coming back to center. To come out of it, I want you to lean back into your hands. So just use the hands for support. Unravel the legs, giving them a little shake out on the floor in front. And then either crossing the left leg up and over, staying here, sliding your right leg, left leg underneath you as well, staying here, or coming onto the outsides of the feet, squeezing the knees together. We want the knees to stack as much as possible in this variation. Okay, wherever you are, start to grow tall, start to soften the shoulders, and then continuing to keep that length in the spine, maybe we lean forwards. Maybe we walk out. And just remember that both sides of your body are completely different. So for me, it doesn't feel as good on this side of the body to lean forward. So I'm just going to stay in a nice upright position. You want to make sure that you're listening to your body. You're not forcing in any way. A couple of big breaths. And then making your way back up again. If you leant forwards, lean across into your right hand. Take a big side stretch, rooting your left hip down. Coming back to center, leaning across into your left hand. Take a big side stretch, rooting your right hip down. Good. Coming back up to center. And then again, leaning back into your hands to release the legs. Let's give them a little unwind and straight out to straddle stretch. So I'm still sitting up on my block here. Okay, give the hips a quick shake out, give the thighs a little shake out. So we're working into the hamstrings here as well now, but also again into the hip joints. So I want you to just bring your hands to heart center. And then imagining that we've got just a ball that's moving around here in the pelvis. I want you to start to draw really big circles. So we're keeping the feet flexed, making sure that the hamstrings are engaged, the muscles are engaged, but really rotating the torso as much as you can in the hips. Good. We're going to do 4 circles in each direction. At the same time, thinking about a little bit of core engagement, so drawing the belly back to the spine. Good. And then placing the hands down onto the floor. Let's just begin to walk forward slightly. So leaning, hands can come out, forearms can come down. Again, whatever variation works for you here, keeping the toes lifted, keeping the chest extended forwards, nice long spine. And then making your way back up again. Good. From here, we're going to just slide the left leg in only, coming off of your block or your blanket or whatever you were sitting on. From here, let's take the left hand down, do a really big side sweep. So hips come up, head goes back, and we're working again on opening up through the hip flexor, right the way up into the stomach. Good. As you come back down, let's take right hand to right leg. Big side stretch the other way, and make sure that this left thigh doesn't lift up too much here. And if it helps, you can very gently press into that thigh. Good, one more time, left hand down, really big side sweep. Take the hips up, leaning back. And then softening down. Maybe the hand stays on the thighs, we take our side stretch over to the right. Good, coming back to center. Let's try to move without using our hands. Right leg in, left leg out to the side. Same thing, right hand comes down. Big side sweep, hips go forwards, head goes back, leaning away. And then from here, softening down, taking a side stretch, gently pressing hand into the thigh, opening up the side body. One more time, bring the right hand down, big side sweep, hips go forwards, head goes back. And softening back down, moving into your side stretch the other way. Good, coming back to center. From here, let's bring both knees in, again without using the hands, placing your feet about as wide as your mat now. Okay, so working on internal hip mobility, you're going to keep your right knee still. From this point, have a go at dropping your left knee down towards the floor and then opening back up to neutral. Again, it might not look like this. I have I have a lot of internal rotation in my hip joint, so this is absolutely fine if it's only doing this. That's just a good start to figure out where you're at with your mobility in your hips and what direction they prefer to move in. Okay, once you've done that a few times with the left leg, holding the left leg still, let's have a go with the right leg. And again, don't be alarmed if your two legs, if your two hips feel completely different. That's quite okay for a lot of us. But it means that we can always work on rebalancing the body when we know which side of the body needs a bit more work. Okay, both legs together. Let's take the arms out to the side. Bring both knees down to the right side. Try and create a 90-90 angle with your legs here. Then again, lifting the knees up and over. Let's try and create 90-90 angle in the other direction. Now, if this isn't happening for you, I want you to bring your hands back behind you. Give yourself as much support as you need in your arms and then have a go at moving the legs. Okay, if this does feel pretty good for you, then you're just going to continue. You can just continue whilst I'm talking. And you can go a bit quicker if that feels okay in the body. You can go slow, whatever you feel like you need. The next time you bring both legs over to the right side, I want you to pause there. Okay, if you've got the hands back behind you, then all I want you to focus here is on just gently pressing the knees down towards the floor. If we're sitting upright with ease, then I want you to start to twist your body towards your right leg. Maybe place the hand down on the knee, the hand down on the ankle, and it's like the front leg of a pigeon here. You're going to gently lean forwards, taking the chest towards the shin. Good, now rising back up. Slowly bring both knees over to the left side, exactly the same. We're either leaning back into the hands or we're going to start to twist towards the left leg. Leaning forwards, maybe we bring hand to knee, hand to ankle. And take the chest closer towards the shin. Good, rising back up. Nice. From here, bring both knees over to the right side. Drop down onto your right forearm, and then taking hold of your left foot with your left hand, we're bringing heel to buttock. So bring the heel in first, then start to draw your knee backwards. I don't want you to lift your knee up here. Keep the knee fairly close to the floor. Again, we're drawing and opening up the quad, working up into the hip flexor. Good, releasing that foot gently, place it down, and then rising back up, take both knees over to the left side, drop down onto your left forearm. Right hand to right foot, heel to buttock. We're going to start to draw the knee backwards. As I draw back, there's a slight feeling of pressing my hip bones forwards at the same time, so similar to dancer pose. Good. And then releasing the leg down gently, popping back up onto your hand. Let's swing the legs all the way around now and make our way to all fours. Okay, so spreading through the fingers, just giving the hips a little wriggle side to side, some small circles, whatever you feel you need in this position. Doing a couple of cat-cows. Just really working the hips in all directions. Good, and then just leaning into your right knee, bring it closer to the centre of the mat. Pick your left leg up and draw some really big circles with the left knee going backwards. Try and keep your arms strong here. And then start to draw some big circles with the left leg coming forwards. Placing the left leg down, switching sides, right knee going back. And then right leg coming forwards. Good, bringing the knees back to parallel, tucking your toes under. Let's lift to a gentle down dog. Just be soft here, bend the knees, chest back towards the thighs. Again, giving the hips a little wriggle side to side, nothing too strenuous. Good, and then walking into the heels, let's take a calf stretch. Good, bringing both knees back down onto the mat. Okay, from all fours, I want you to pick the left leg up. Step your left foot as far forwards as you can towards the top left-hand corner of your mat. Now, if you have to help your leg here, that's no problem. Just bring it all the way up. But we are trying to move hip mobility without using the hands too much. Now, at this point, if you're particularly stiff, you might also want to grab your 2 brick blocks and bring them to the inside of your left foot. Okay, I'll work with the bricks so you can see how that will work, and then I'll get rid of them for the other side. Okay, from here, lunging forwards into the front leg. Check that the knee is over the ankle, not going past the toes. And then I want you to just drop the hips and extend your chest forward. So nice long spine. Taking a couple of breaths here in your low lunge. Keep the back toes tucked under just to support the knee. Good. Okay, from here, I want you to have a go at straightening up your front leg as you send your hips backwards. So straightening up, lift the toes on that left leg, and then at the same time, we're going to open the left arm out towards the ceiling. So now we're working into not only the outer hip, but the IT band on your left leg. Okay, adding in a bit of movement, bend into the front knee, sweep the hand forwards, breathe in. Breathe out, straighten up, reach all the way back. And again, breathing in. Breathing out. One more time, breathing in. Breathing out. Good. Hand on the lower back, go a little bit deeper into that twist as you start to send your chest around. Keep flexing the left foot. Lovely. And then releasing back to center, lunge into the front knee. Take a moment to wriggle onto the outer edge of your left foot, so baby toe edge. And then either just dropping that hip, taking a bit of a sway side to side, or again, if you need a bit more, left hand can come to the inside of the left knee to open up. A little bit of a sway, maybe we lean away from the leg. It's whatever feels right for you here, still dropping this right hip down towards the floor. Good. And then coming on to the sole of the foot again. Continue to press into the knee. Start to look over your left shoulder. Energy is moving forward still into this front leg. If you want to go a bit deeper into your right hip flexor now, we're going to bend the right leg in, heel towards the buttock. Maybe we can reach for the hand, bring the heel a bit closer. If you're on the block, you can drop down onto the floor. If you're on the floor, you might be able to drop down onto your forearm. Just working again in a place that feels good in your body. Good, and then gently releasing the leg, bringing the hands back around to center, pushing down into the floor, into the blocks. Slide your left leg back to all fours. Take a child's pose. Little wriggle side to side, just stretching into the shoulders. Good, and then rising back up to all fours again. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So if you use the blocks, use them again. If you didn't use them, don't use them. We're going to step the right foot forwards, as far forwards as you can, lunging into the front knee. Check that the knee is stacked over the ankle at this point. So palms down, chest extending forwards. Lift the belly, try and draw the shoulders back. Back toes tucked under to support the knee. Just reconnecting with those deep breaths that drop right the way down to your belly here. Good, and then starting to straighten up your front leg. Let's lift the toes and open the right arm up towards the ceiling. So there's a slight feeling of sticking the hip out to the side here as well. Good, lunging forwards into the front knee. Inhale, sweep the arm up. Exhale, straighten as you reach back. 2 more, inhale. Exhaling back. Last time. Exhaling back, hand to hip, start to twist a bit further into that stretch. Good. And then coming back to center, hands come down, lunging into the front knee. We're going to roll onto the baby toe edge of the right foot. So again, dropping the knee out to the side. Maybe we sway a bit side to side. Maybe we use the right hand on the knee, leaning away. Good, and then bringing the sole of the foot back. Press your right hand down into your thigh. Start to twist, looking over your right shoulder. Option to stay or curling the heel in. Maybe we reach back for the foot with the hand. If you're on the block, you can drop down onto your hand. If you're on the hand, maybe we can drop down onto the forearm this time. Just again, opening up the chest as we lean away. Good. And then gently releasing the back foot, bringing the hands back to center. Pushing down into the floor, slide the right leg back. Take your knees a bit wider and just coming into wide child's pose this time. Wriggle back onto the heels, shifting the hips side to side. Nice. And then as we rise up, we're going to rock forwards and just bring our knees back to parallel as we come all the way down to the floor. So getting comfortable here on your front. Let's take the legs out to the side slightly, give the hips a quick shake out. And then we're either going to come into single left hand to heel, or if you want to go a little bit further, right hand to heel or right hand to foot as well. Pressing the hip bones down into the floor. Option of lifting the chest slightly if you'd want to go a bit further. Maybe the knee lifts a little bit. Or easier version, just resting with the head down and working that heel in towards the buttock. Okay, just holding on this side for another breath. And then releasing the left leg, switching over, bending right leg in, heel to buttock. Option of bringing left hand back as well if you want to. Hips go down. And then releasing the right leg, bringing the hands in underneath the shoulders. Just take a gentle roll of the shoulders back. Inhale, lift up to cobra and rise all the way back to child's pose. Okay, from your child's pose, make your way up to down dog. Setting the hands and feet here in parallel. Good. From here we're going to reach the left leg up towards the ceiling. And then step the left foot to the outside of the left hand. If you used your blocks before, again, this might be another opportunity to use those now if you need a bit more height in the body. Lunging down into the front knee, knees stacked over the ankle, chest is extending forward. So where we were earlier, but we're in a higher lunge this time. It's a little bit of shifting forwards and back, maybe leaning side to side, just see how it feels. And then opening the left arm up towards the ceiling, take a nice big twist. And bringing the left hand back down onto the floor, onto the block, lower your right knee onto the mat. Good, okay, from here, popping your hands up onto your front leg. Start to come out of the stretch slightly. We're going to bring the hands in, take a deep breath in, roll the shoulders back. And as you breathe out, lunge forwards into the front knee, pressing the knee away from the body. Good, again, inhale, rising up, draw the belly back, draw the ribs back. Exhale, lunging forwards. One more time. Inhale to rise. Exhale, guiding the knee away. Good, now from here, we're going to keep the left hand on the thigh. So keep grounding down through that left arm. Reach the right arm up, lean back a little bit, keep hugging the belly in, and then maybe reach over to the right side if you want to go a bit deeper into your hip flexor. Good, slowly coming back to center, placing the hands down onto the floor, down onto the blocks, and then pushing all the way back to down dog, lift the back knee. Good, walking to the heels, stepping the right foot forwards to the outside of the right hand, lunging down into your high lunge this time, knees stacked over the ankle, a little bit of shifting forwards and back, side to side, whatever feels good. And then opening the right arm up towards the ceiling, take a twist. Good, bringing the hand back down, dropping the left knee to the mat. Let's walk the hands up onto the front leg, start to shift the pelvis back. Okay, so hands are pressing the knee forwards, draw the belly in, deep breath in. Exhale, sink deeper into the front leg. Inhale, rising up, belly back, rib cage back. Exhale, lunging forwards. One more time. Good, now from here, continue to push your right hand into the thigh. Lean back slightly as you draw your left arm up. Continue to lift, reach over to the right side, find a little bit more space through that left hip. Breathing into your lower belly. Good, and then bringing the hands back down, either to the blocks or to the floor. Pushing down to rise up, back to down dog. And then from your down dog this time, I want you to walk your hands back in towards your feet. Again, if you have brick blocks and you want to use them, continue. If not, hands are on the floor. So we've got feet hip width apart, hands spreading. From here, bending into your right knee only. Open your left arm up towards the ceiling and then bring the left hand onto the left buttock. As we did when we were on the floor a moment ago, start to open up the ribs and stick your left hip out to the left. Good, left hand comes down, bending into the left knee. Open the right arm up, take a twist, right hand to right buttock. Start to stick your hip out to the right. Continue to open up the ribs. Good, and then coming back to center, softening into the knees. If you were using the blocks, bring them out of the way now. Good, opposite hand to elbow. Just take a gentle forward fold, moving a bit further into the hamstrings. And then walking the hands back out to down dog. From your down dog, keep going so the hands are at the top of the mat. Slide your left knee to left elbow, left wrist, that's the one. Shin towards the top of the mat. So we're looking for that pigeon shape with the front leg, that right angle shape with the front leg. Option of walking the right knee further back. We can also use something here underneath the left buttock if you're feeling particularly tight. If not, we're going to start to walk down onto the floor. Maybe we drop onto the forearms, maybe we lower the head to the floor. We want to feel this constant activation in the hip. So right hip is pulling forwards towards the top of the mat, left buttock is pulling back. So lower body is active, upper body is soft. Okay, so just holding whatever variation you came into, taking another 2 breaths. Good, and then walking your hands back in towards you. Let's see if we can rise up onto the fingertips. So draw the belly in, draw the rib cage back. If this feels strong, stay as you are. If you'd like to go a bit further, take your right knee further back. Curl the heel towards the buttock. Right hand comes to the inside of the foot as we move the heel in towards the buttock. Rotate the chest back towards the front of the room. Good. Softening out of it, bring your hands down, pushing into the floor, step back to down dog. And then from here, keeping your hands at the top of the mat, slide your right knee to right wrist, shin moves towards the top of the mat, left knee wriggles back. Option of using something underneath your right buttock again if you need to. Option of staying up, of coming down onto your forearms, coming down onto your head, whatever feels best. Maybe we shift a bit side to side. Again, thinking about keeping the hips active, the legs active. So left hip forwards now, right buttock pulling back, and that should deepen your stretch for you. Good. Making your way back all the way in, up onto your fingertips. Starting to roll the shoulders back, draw the ribs back. Maybe the left knee goes further back if you want to bring heel in. Left hand to the inside of the foot. Heel moves towards the outer buttock. Shoulders move back around to the top of the mat. Good. Releasing the leg gently. This time I want you to sit back onto this right buttock. Sweep your left leg forwards and come into cross-legged position. Okay, so we can be cross-legged stacked or cross-legged a little bit wider with the feet in front if you find that easier. From here, I want you to just grow taller and then start to lean forward. So maybe we only walk a couple of hands, maybe we drop down onto the forearms, just whatever works for you here today. And closing off the eyes. Let's start to slow down the breath. And then walking the hands back in. Without using your hands, cross the opposite leg in front. Again, sitting tall, start to walk your hands forwards, maybe dropping onto the forearms or onto the head. And taking a breath. Taking the hands back in towards you. Just undo the legs here. Bring the feet back to parallel. Just giving your knees a little squeeze, a hug. And then rolling down onto your back, let's come back to where we started, back to that lying butterfly position. So soles of the feet together. Option of using brick blocks here. Again now, if you want to make this more restorative, then please feel free to use those. Resting the hands onto the lower belly and just softening the shoulders down the back. I want you to bring your attention back to how you're feeling in the present moment, back to the sensations in your hips, in your outer hips, in your groin, in your hip flexors. Just being aware of any tingling there, any warmth. Just noticing if you have a bit more space, if you're managing to breathe into those areas. And then really slowing down the breath. I want you to feel your hands gently rising and falling with the breath. Taking a big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Slowly bringing the knees back in towards each other. And then giving the knees a little hug here or a sway, whatever you feel like doing. And in your own time, bringing yourself back up to sitting.